about the game mentioning, and because I guess they heard about the game, they knew that I run it. They didn't know who all was in the game, and they're like, yeah, like we're really trying to get the D&D crowd. Like right now we have our show Spooks, and like you know, one of the guys in the crew one of the cast keeps talking about how he keeps trying to get one of our other castmates, Ashley, to get into her D&D game, and I'm like, Ashley Johnson, yeah, I know, she's in the game. They're like, oh, like, and Sam Eagle, I worked on Fetch Fest with you guys. I'm like, oh, so you're keeping it in the family. Yeah.
I had not really known Liam or Laura or Travis or Sam before this game. I mean, I still feel like I don't belong in a lot of ways. And so like at that time, especially all these interactions, I kept thinking, you know, I'm wearing it on my face. Everyone knows this kid's the fraud. Why is he here? And liamo'brien, I didn't meet until I began working on Resident Evil 6. And even we were talking one day between, like on our break, I mentioned that I was playing D&D the night before for a session I was running. He's like, I play Dungeons and Dragons. And so we got in this conversation where all of a sudden he opened up about like his love of Dragonlance as a kid and how he, you know, he's wanted to play again, but it's been so long. And that was like our first real friendship connection at that point. He was just my director, but that moment we became friends.
Yeah, so, something you could connect on.
And so we kept talking about D&D over and over again at our break time during this game. And, you know, his birthday was coming up and I was like, dude, I'll be happy to run a game for you sometime. You know, like for your birthday. And it's kind of like, I'll run you a one shot. How about that? He's like, yeah, nah, I don't know if I can do that. You know, it's just things busy. I got kids, the whole thing. But thank you, I appreciate that. I'm like, all right, fine. And so it wasn't until a while later that he and Sam had they did their podcast. I didn't know anything about. He didn't tell me this was the reason they were doing it.
Right.
He just called me up and was like, hey, you know, a while back you said you did me one shot for my birthday? Then let's do it.
I don't know. I just expected it to be a lark, right? Just us to have some beers and laugh at each other, which did happen. But I remember the way it looked and smelled that night. I also remember how much fun we were having and looking around at the people in the room with me and going like, I can't believe that these cool people agreed to come here and do this ridiculous thing. And holy shit, that guy is good at this.
There was some magic to it. I don't know if it was the collection of people or the characters that we were playing. It was probably Matt. It was probably Matt was just so fucking good.
Yeah.
That we were like, imagine if Matt Mercer was your first dungeon master ever.
But I didn't know anything about it, and then being around Yuri Lowenthal and Matt Mercer and other people and hearing, you know, Zach Hanks and just other folks that had played, I was like, so you play like now? He's like, yeah. I was like, what do you do? He's like, we show up for a few hours, we have some food, we have some drinks, and we roll some dice, and we play D&D. And I was like, could I come like watch?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you don't want to watch it. Nobody watches D&D. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you want to come play?
The very first game that they played, because I didn't know about the first game.
Yeah.
And then I think Travis or Laura had talked to me and they were like, you gotta come play. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up going to the second game that they played. And I just remember Matt, I talked to Matt before and I was emailing with him and he's like, here's what's left. I'll play a cleric because, I don't know, I'll just give this a try. And I was like, I'll be a gnome, I don't know, because that's kind of funny.
Yeah. And
I went to the game and everybody was like doing voices and character and I was like, holy shit, okay. And I was hooked.
Fires.
Oh God!
The ringing of the blast echoes throughout the chamber. It blends with another lurch as you have another piece of rock come slamming into the platform. As the turquoise crystal shatters, the platform just drops into free fall.
It was magic. I could not have predicted the end result, but it was magic. And I went home that night going, on my own. Like, everyone knows how tight we are. We were close friends, but we weren't the family that we are now.
Yeah.
And I remember going home going, man, that was so good. That's the most fun that's the most fun I've had in a long time. I want to do that again.
And so we did another session. Then Ashley came in. I'd never met Ashley before either. And I was a fan of her work on Last of Us and was like, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll make a character. Don't make a fool of yourself, Matt, you know?
Right.
And it just kind of went from there and we just kept playing. We kept scheduling the next session, and I kept kind of expanding the world. And it was exciting to consider that these people that I looked up to, that were so fresh to this experience, wanted to keep playing. I just fell in love with each of them. Like maybe if they went from being these strangers that I hoped to provide a good time for to becoming my family. Like we became so close, and I'm so thankful for all the time that we got to build up in this and have our mimosa Sundays playing at Lord Travis's house or rushing everyone over to our tiny apartment again to play, and just watching all the pretenses of industry and business fall away. And in this space, we were just a bunch of doofy people making things up, rolling dice, and just enjoying a good, 6-8 hour weekend day together before going back to the rest of our responsibilities.
Hey, is everything okay? We're back at the house. Just wondering where you are. Let me know. We're all curious.
Yeah.
Donuts.
You have too much power with this spell.
It's the last 6 words that are always the thing.
It was a good fit. I mean, these people are all my best friends now, but at the time, I was so intimidated.
I bet.
Because it was like, soon-to-be BAFTA award-winning Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, queen of VO and video games, and liamo'brien, voice of Illidan. So part of the reason that I made Keyleth kind of an introverted, fumbly, put her foot in her mouth type of character was because I was like, well, I might just do that a few times.
I am sure that in finding flaws in the characters that I am portraying, I am so looking at my own flaws and trying to figure them out. Scanlan was like a character that was very life of the party also, but had a lot of demons and a lot of insecurities and stuff. And there's definitely some of that in me. And the character I'm playing now, is really timid and shy and skittish and nervous about things. And there's definitely a lot of that, buried beneath my super handsome, ripped facade.
Percy definitely has a lot of me in him. But then with like Molly was never going to change. That was not a character looking for anything. That was a character who Percy was Iron Man. He was like, I'm a fuck up. I need to find some resolution to myself. Molly was Captain America, which was that the world is going to have to resolve itself around me.
Right.
I'm never going to change. This is not what Captain America does. Captain America forces the world to contort around him until it breaks.
I'd really like to keep it on me.
Can you not walk without it or something?
She has
Is
a
it
really
just-
bad limp.
I just, sometimes like I get like a little twinge, like a little disc issue.
Can you hand me your staff so I can watch this? I want to see this limp of yours. Purely for my own entertainment.
Are you patronizing me, Molly Mock?
No, I'm hoping that you're going to patronize us.
For me, coming from a background of not playing it very much, pick something or choose something that's going to be slightly comfortable in the beginning. I didn't know shit about D&D. When I looked at the magic classes for that first campaign, I couldn't think of anything more terrifying than all those spells.
Yeah.
So give me an axe, make me big, let me be dumb, so that when I make a mistake, it's not as obvious, and I'll just hit shit. And they're like, we need a tank that goes in and takes the damage. You're gonna get hit a lot. And I was like, fine, great, cool. I'm not precious with that character, and that was a very simple, rigid skeleton.
What was important to you about Vex? What were the important sort of temples for you of going like, I kind of want her to be, obviously you said you wanted her to be hot, when you were talking about, but I mean, personality-wise.
I wanted her to be strong and snarky and confident and hot. And really, that was pretty much it when we started.
Were those the characteristics you identified with in characters that you played in video games?
Yeah, that's how those were like
liked?
the options that I would always choose. Like I said, the anti-hero, I wanted that like renegade sort of option where, you say something shitty but you do the right thing. That's what I wanted her to be like.
Because I think faults are what make people interesting. And the reason why I love acting so much is because it's just such a deep study of the human condition.
Right.
And D&D almost tops that in a weird way. What's been fascinating me, seeing the difference between Bo and Keyleth are the people, some people who loved Keyleth can't stand Bo, and vice versa. Much more the latter. I think much more people hated Keyleth but love Bo. And I actually do find that fascinating because Bo is arguably more of a shit kicker and more of a selfish person, whereas Keyleth was just trying to do the best that she thought she could.
She was earnest.
Yes.
She was very earnest.
So earnest, but just trying to do good under the worst circumstances. Bo has a little bit more confidence, a little bit more of that cocky, surefire attitude, but is kind of way more of a shittier person. And people fucking love that about Bo.
It's interesting, isn't it?
They love that.
And that's why I think the game and art and storytelling is so important, because we are processing our lives. People have always wanted stories. People need stories. It's essential to understand themselves. It's when you're reading a story, you're really just considering how it reflects back on you, how is that similar to my experience.
As we played and you start seeing what the other characters are and how they relate to you, then you start like slapping more clay. And even, I mean, I don't think anybody was more surprised than I was at the sort of like characteristics that he would start to show, like loyalty and protective, qualities, and really having the sense of honor, even though he's a complete moron. And that was really, I loved him so much because it was so freeing just to turn off all those filters that you've accumulated over 30 plus years and just be like this raw, exposed nerve that, can affect and be affected by so many things.
It's such an intense feeling of gratitude for the people that have watched and have been with us along the way and have been responsible for getting us to this place. And just all the hard work that like everybody here does. I can't wait to see even more where this goes. And I can't wait to sort of jump in and be even more a part of it. Because it's been weird watching it a little bit from afar, being involved, but also leaving when it's happening and and jumping back into the table. It's fucking weird.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's harder than a lot of people think, because it's a group of people that play every week, and they are fine-tuning their role-playing skills. And then I hop in and I'm like, I don't know what the I'm doing.
Her hair dark and fading to white, last seen fleeing into the distant fields. You see, in chains as well, Yasha being pulled into the courtroom. Stepping into the light, you see the familiar and somewhat surprised face of Yasha. Ashley, if you want to jump in, don't mind.
Playing a character over that long amount of time, how do you still create arcs and bring out more of their personality? Doesn't it feel like after 2 years you've sort of explored everything you can? How do you
feel like after 2 years of being you that you've explored every aspect of yourself?
I felt that way around 4. I felt that way around 4 years old, and I've felt that way since.
I feel like
but that's an interesting perspective.
It's just your person, right? In the game, there's always something new. That's why if somebody says this is out of character, that's not something you would do. I don't believe that, because I do spontaneous things that somebody wouldn't expect, you know? And it just, all it does is introduce a different aspect of myself and go, oh my God, I can do that.
Life is long and strange, and I keep saying yes to things. I don't know. But
you seem happy with those choices.
They're choices.
Yeah.
Choices are way better than not choosing. Not choosing just means that you're at the whims of circumstance.
Maybe I'm playing it too safe. Like half of the game could really be exploring like the risk and the emotions of that. So I put in a little bit more stuff that has to do with me, and it's going to lean into things that do require more of a risk, and I don't know how it's going to go. Make it comfortable in the beginning so that when the opportunity to roll the dice comes around, fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I don't like in sports and in D&D is when people can play it safe.
Yeah.
It's so boring, right?
Yeah.
Boring to be a part of, boring to watch.
Yeah.
Especially in a game where, let's be honest, if a character dies, it's going to f some things up for you and for other people, as we've seen.
Yeah.
But it is a game, right? And if the opposite side of that coin is something that you will never forget, isn't it worth that chance, right? Because in life, it's so hard. Life is precious, right? And there are a different set of rules and standards.
Reckless. Natural 20! No!
That's fucking ridiculous. Look at that shit.
86.
How do you want to do this?
I am just such a deep believer in what Dungeons and Dragons and, at the end of the day, storytelling can be. And that's why I love this little show. It's the stories behind the storytellers. Like, what everyone is still doing on the show is still just telling stories. And those stories can deeply impact people. There are certain shows that that we watch all the time that I like to call cheese whiz for the brain, where it's just, it's not meant, don't think too deep about it.
Right.
It ain't that deep. And that can totally change someone's life who's maybe had a terrible day or a terrible week, to just be like, oh, thank God this is something that's not gonna weigh on my brain like a lead balloon.
Wait.
No, but one of the guards is looking at you, flail in the air, and is like,
the ruby of the sea.
We would all know.
The only person that sees it is
It doesn't matter.
Vex.
It doesn't matter. We would all know.
Vex. You watch this kill, poof, and just like it's a scatter of red mess, and you just see her floating in the water.
It's only 17!
I know! I dropping her in. This was not in my plan! 200 floors up!
It filled something in me that I feel like nothing has been able to sort of fill that, whatever that is. And it's crazy to say that it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I know, but it's true. Everybody said the same thing in your chair.
Yeah, it's the I think because it's community based, and I feel like a lot of people in this community, and even people that we meet at cons or things like that, where we're all the same. Like we're all people that are kind of like have a lot of shit that, you know, we're all like a little introverted and a little weird, and we get in this world and we're like, oh, this is where we're comfortable.
We're very conscious that we have an audience now. There's no denying it, and it's part of the energy that makes it such a thrill to do. But we're still playing this game for ourselves. And I'm not tailoring what I'm doing for anybody. I'm playing this game the way that I want to play this game and do things that I find interesting and gratifying and challenging to myself. So it was a great surprise and humbling to hear from people having the reaction they did to it.
It's much easier to react in character when you're, you know. But, you know, that's, I don't know, that might be a lie. Because that was always one of my favorite things anyway about theater or anything is the reaction. You know, so I know a lot of actors that just, it's that joke of bullshit, bullshit, my line, bullshit, bullshit, my line. And they don't ever have anything going on outside of, this is my motivation and this is why I'm doing something. And they don't think about, you know, we're having a conversation and you've got to react to that. If you do something spontaneous, I'm going to do something to react to that. It's going to change my performance. And if it doesn't change your performance, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
People who I could be friends with, who get me and who also perform, an opportunity to make people laugh, to play different characters, to tell a weird, cool story. Like it's everything all at the same time. It was the best drug.
You couldn't have known going into it that it was
No.
going to scratch all of those itches and cover all
No.
those bases of the stuff that you really loved until you experienced it.
No, it was an epiphany. It was one of those light bulb moments where like, at least for me, you know, there's no going back. Like,
Right.
I've had that experience. I want more of that forever. So it was great. It was a great night, and it's led to so many more weird, great, sad nights and happy nights.
And that's why I love being the GM. You know, the DM. For me, it's a gift. Like it's in my small way that I can say thank you for putting your time into this. Thank you for putting your interest in whatever I'm capable of doing, and being respectful of this thing that we're doing together. Let me try and provide something that's long lasting and important to you. And that to me is a very deeply, like, soulfully fulfilling experience.
Yeah, it was.
Let's do it again.
From the top.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We love you very much. And it's a Thursday. Good night.
But I was just a bystander. I was walking down here and I saw these two ruffians, and I was going to go get help.
Make a deception check.
Actually true. She wasn't with us.
0.
Take them by the cheeks. Can you feel this?
Yeah.
You can. Can you feel this?
Does it taste good?
Do you recommend it?
Matey 7.
And
9. We lost 2 in the sewers.
You have a good memory.
Well, you know, not all crabgrass is as cool as me. What's your name, by the way?
I'm Jester. Do you have a name?
I don't think so. You want to give me one?
Yeah. Henry.
I'm Henry. Henry Crabgrass.
Henry Crabgrass. And I'll pet Henry.
Consent, please.
Oh, may I pet you?
Yes, you may. I mean, just stick around. It's nice to have someone to talk to.
Oh, okay. Tell you what, we'll stick around for at least 10 more minutes.
I'll take it.
All right.